In today's video, we're going to talk about the takeaway, and in particular, we're going to talk about the wrist move in the takeaway position. This video has really been influenced by two things. One, most importantly, is kind of you guys, golfers that are either, questions in the comments section, or equally just golfers that are reaching out for online or face-to-face instruction. And it's also influenced a little bit by myself, so I haven't really had too much time to sort of practice as much as I'd want to and play as much as I'd want to, just balancing sort of work and family life, but kind of getting there, and we'll try and get a few rounds of golf in this year, and hopefully as time eases we'll start to play again more competitive golf in the future. It's definitely something that I want to do. But like a lot of us, start to hit some shots down the range and you start to do a little bit of self-reflection. Now, the thing that's influenced my change in the takeaway move has actually been different from what I would suggest for most amateur golfers. So my thing was that I have less time to practice, and if I can have things that are a little bit more holistic, or if you like sort of chunking stuff together, is easier. And what I sort of found is that if I can have a similar takeaway move that I could adopt towards my chipping and my pitching technique, then that would be quite favourable for that sort of muscle memory, if you like, and again, sort of chunking all these pieces together. So in the past on the channel, I've often spoke about the first move being a little bit of a wrist hinge. And that's because by the letter of the law, that's one of the first things that should be happening. But through experience, I've realised actually that's still acceptable and completely plausible. And we see lots of different varieties in takeaways. We see golfers who do sort of create a little hinge in the first move, and we also see golfers who exasperate that, like DJ, who end up with the arms more in front of them. But my change in narrative has changed because of that, which we'll go into. But also what I see with a lot of online students is just, and again, people that come to visit, is just they know something's off in their golf swing. They don't strike it as well, they don't control the club face as well, and they often sort of cheat by trying to move the wrists in the backswing position. I'm not a massive fan of doing that, and what they end up doing is doing things like in the setup position they don't realise the club face is closed, and then they aim a little to compensate for that. Or in the backswing they're trying to excessively close the face, and the problem is these sort of tendencies of closing the face too much, in my opinion, they kind of make you a little more vulnerable to dragging the club under plane. Two, it will close down the face, and three, you'll start to lose some of the essential wrist positions that you need, like wrist cock for power. You start exasperating this too much, and all of a sudden you're going to really struggle finding compression. Plus, excessively closing the face in the backswing, and I mean closing it, not like playing it more strong, I mean like closing and shutting it down, is that you're just going to end up sort of massively having to open it in the downswing. So it doesn't really achieve the thing that you want it to achieve. So what should you be doing? Well, look, this is the thing. If you're somebody who has good club face control, good ball striking, and you're as accurate as you need to be, then you obviously don't need to be changing your takeaway move. But if you don't have that, then this is an option. So if I sort of got set up here, and we drew a line through the heel of the club up through my elbow line, what I'm trying to work on at the moment is, if I was chipping, I would want to move this club just back to the side of my body like so. If I was pitching, it'd be the same. Right? I want to try and get that feeling of staying as close to this sort of swing plane as I possibly can. I'm keeping my arms more to the side of my body. So with my full swing, it made more sense to get set up and get this feeling of moving the hands more to the side of the body like so. So I'm not consciously trying to produce any more of a sort of hinging action, which would encourage my hands and arms to stay a little bit more in front of my body. I'm sort of working more on just trying to encourage my hands to stay more to the side of my body, so the club head stays a little bit more like so. Now, all it is again, it's just trying to stay on plane. It's just a fancy way of saying that, look, I personally don't want to sort of feel like I'm working too much above the plane line. I want to feel like I'm working on the plane line. And if I almost get the sense that I'm trying to keep my hands a little lower, it's almost like I'm just trying to keep my club on a shallower plane. And like I say, the main benefit to that for myself is what I'm finding is that it's just more holistically applied to everything. It's easier to apply that same feeling of that takeaway to my chip shots. It's the same way to apply that same technique to my pitch shots. And what it stops doing is, for most amateurs that again I'm meeting, is, well, all of a sudden it kind of gets them from a position like this to a position like this, and then from here they can sort of bring that club down and start to release it and have a proper sequence in the downswing, which is giving them much better ball striking and club face control. So where you want to kind of message behind this video very much falls into that you don't want to be cheating with your wrist positions, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to fall away from the concept of actually what we're trying to do in the golf swing is swing the club on plane. So we'll talk more about wrist positions moving forward on the channel, but for myself, I've actually found having a little bit less of a feeling of hinging and having more of a feeling of the handle working a little wider in that backswing position is personally just something that feels easier to carry through from a chip shot, through a pitch shot, and then I can keep that same sense going in towards my full swing, so it's more this way, not doing too much of this. But you guys can experiment with what you think works best for you. But what you don't want to be doing is deviating off plane and cheating by excessively trying to close the club face. Those are big no-nos. Hopefully it's helped. I'll see you guys again really soon.